Cool. Hi. We are looking at 1.3 now. So yeah. I removed the plant because you could see the plant in the shadow. Yeah. Just again, ignore my shadow. I don't like that that's there, but that's the only way it worked out. Alright. Two super easy topics to cover. Basically, cells are tiny, right? Why the heck are they so small? This is because of surface area to volume ratio. Whoa. Remember early commencement when we had to do that stupid prac report over the holidays? Anyways, basically, this surface area to volume ratio, we want this to be as high as possible. So, like 1 to 2, if it could be. It's not actually going to be that, but that means that we have a very efficient cell. It means that for all the stuff that we're doing, we get the most out of it. I think it's actually meant to be the other way around. I think it's actually meant to be like 2 to 1. But basically, if we work for 2 hours, I don't know how to explain this, but basically if we work for 2 hours, we want to get paid like, I don't know, say $10, right? That is kind of the ideal, that is the top that we can get, right? However, if this surface area to volume ratio, if this decreases, this starts to look like we work 4 hours and we make $10, right? And it's kind of like, what the heck? Like, we want more money. Or another way of looking at it is you still work 2 hours, but you only get like $5 for it. And that's really annoying. And eventually it gets to a point where you can't live off this. And so you've got to figure out a way to make more money. Basically, the surface area to volume ratio, we want this to be really high because it means that the cell is really efficient and we can make a lot of money. The reason why we want this surface area to volume ratio high, so stuff going in and out of the cell, this happens quite quickly, which is really important. Basically, all the stuff going, say if this is a cell, right? All the stuff going in and out of the cell, this needs to happen, right? Because this is where we get our food and our water and whatever, our nutrients. If this happens slowly, this means that the cell will be slower. It can't do what it needs to do as quickly. It could actually result in death, right? Because what's going on in here cannot actually function the way it needs to be doing. So, surface area to volume ratio gets to a point where it's too slow. The cell will fix this in a couple different ways. Basically, what it could do is it could divide. So if it gets smaller, the surface area to volume ratio increases because basically if we look at a cube, all right, and it is 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters, it's got a total volume of 125 centimeters cubed, right? Boring. I can't believe we're doing maths and biology. I know. And its surface area is 5 times 5 times 6. So that's, you don't actually need to understand this, but 5 times 5 times 6. So our surface area is 150. Which means that its surface area to volume ratio is 1.2. Right? Which is kind of low, okay? That's really low. However, if we have this same size cube made up of lots of different smaller cubes, i.e. cells, all right, and it keeps going. So imagine this is, so it's the same size, all right, because it's still 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters. So its volume is still 125 centimeters. However, its surface area is way higher because all of these are tiny little cubes. So you've got to count the surface area of this plus, because it's 3D, it's not just, it's this side plus this side plus this side, again and again and again, which means that it has a surface area of 750. That means that the surface area to volume ratio is way higher, and it's equal to 6. Which again, if we look, is a lot higher. This is because there are a lot more surface areas for every volume, if that makes sense. For every 1 volume there's 1.2 times that of surface area. Here, for every 1 volume, there is 6 surface areas, which doesn't really make sense, but basically it means that there is a lot more space for nutrients to get in and out, making this really quick. And that is really, really important. So the way the cell can manage this surface area to volume ratio is, like I said before, by dividing, or it can become flat because it's got a lot more surface area, or it can make extensions. So like a tree, right? It's got all these roots. All of these roots increase the surface area to volume ratio. Yeah, that's that done. Good work, team. Compartmentalisation is when the cell makes special membrane-bound organelles kind of inside the cell. So this is basically like coming up with a bunch of different helpers to do these specialized tasks. So this is only within eukaryotic cells. So this is only the complicated cells that have these membrane-bound organelles. I'm so sorry if you can't read my handwriting. But basically, all these different organelles have specialized functions. This helps the cell function efficiently and effectively, and it just makes the process a lot smoother and easier. It's like you wouldn't have one teacher teach you for every single subject, because they would need to know so much, right? And they would have so much work to do. But you have a different teacher for each different subject, because that's the subject they can do best. So it makes this process a lot more efficient, which again is very important for a cell. These different organelles have different functions, like I said before, and they also have different internal environments. So this basically means that what's going on inside the organelle, like the mitochondria or whatever, is different to the outside of the cell. And because of this, because of these different internal environments and because of these different functions, this means that if a lot is going on out here, outside the cell, the inside of the cell can actually function pretty normally, and it means that the cell is less vulnerable to changes in the environment. And that's really good, because the cell won't die as much. Anyways, that's 1.4 done. So good work, team. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Sorry that I said that. But yeah,